right, everybody pay attention. Mike is back.
Yeah.
Hey, are you tired of paying hidden fees for heating and cooling services? Well, look no more further than Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling. At Straight Shooter, we understand the importance of quality and dependability. That's why we offer 1-hour appointment windows, no diagnostic fees, no dispatch fees, just straight up honest service you can trust. Call Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling, 619-922-3937 for your $17.76 AC tune-up. No bull, just cool. Or book online at straightshooter.ac. That's straightshooter.ac.
Yeah, big welcome to Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling. These guys are brand new sponsors. Check them out. Of course, July's coming. You know, your air conditioner never breaks in January, right?
It doesn't break until you need it.
Right. It didn't break till. So check these guys out. They're legit gun guys. They're excited about being a part of the Second Amendment community here in San Diego. So check them out. Make sure your AC is working in top shape. So give them a call. Let's see. Their number 619-922-3937. Give them a call. Get your AC. Have them take a look at it. I know they have all kinds of services. They'll come out and do an inspection. They'll do maintenance. They'll put you on a maintenance schedule.
The most important is that they come out and do scheduled inspections. Being proactive, not reactive.
Yeah, because
that's the important part. If you don't do that, then you're going to shoot.
I have my AC break. It's the worst.
Yeah,
because your AC breaks, it's like down for like forever, and it's a bunch of money. If you maintain it, it won't break. Hopefully, at least
exactly.
That's the idea. So, but mostly, just thank them for being a sponsor. Just thank them for sticking it out there. I mean, they're called Straight Shooter.
For a reason.
Thank them for saying, hey, you know what? We believe in the Second Amendment, and we want to be a part of it. So, for that reason alone, give them a call, 619-922-3937. Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Absolutely. You're still saying that after 3 weeks with your dad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yesterday was his birthday. Today is Father's Day.
Did you learn anything while you were gone from him?
Oh, no.
That is one good photo sitting by fishing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, we weren't fishing at that time. We were just hanging out, looking at the lake, which is it's such a beautiful lake.
It really is. But it was a good photo. That would be something.
It was a cool trip.
You should frame that one. That was frameable.
I think I might. I think it is a good photo. And it was a really good trip, though.
Well, it's good. He's taught you everything you already need to know, so you didn't have anything left to teach you this time.
That's right. I always learn something from the old man. He's extremely smart. We went to the big stop because so the big part of the trip is I got to get him from Virginia to Wisconsin in one piece. That's my job. It's like Cannonball Run.
What'd you drive?
A Pacifica. Yeah, little minivan. Chrysler Pacifica, which, by the way, is a super nice car.
I know. It's a hybrid. It was a hybrid, too, probably.
His was not a hybrid. It was a...
Oh, it's his personal vehicle?
Oh, yeah. That's his. His is not a hybrid.
Okay. What's that smart little orange number you got down there now? Did you pick
that's
that
a
one
rental.
out?
No. I would have picked green. Genius has picked green.
What did you do with your Jeep?
No, well, it's... Guess where it is.
Where it lives.
Guess where it is.
Where it lives.
It's taking a little vacation.
Where it lives.
But let me tell you real quick about Cleveland because it was pretty interesting.
Cleveland.
I'm looking like what is there between Virginia and Wisconsin? There's not a whole lot, right? So, but there is Cleveland. So I stopped we spent a day in Cleveland, and we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Cleveland rocks.
Does rock. I'm still not clear on why. I'm totally happy that it's there, but
why?
Yeah. Why did they put it in Cleveland?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
I still can't figure it out. I toured the whole museum. I asked a couple of folks. Nobody can really answer why it's there. You'd think it'd be in Detroit, Motown, or New York, L.A.,
Yeah.
Hey,
not to change subject. Where was that TV program, WKRP?
That was in Cincinnati.
Yes, the other.
I got that
the other
shirt
part of the
too.
title.
I was going to wear. I couldn't decide to wear that one or this one.
We didn't go to Cincinnati. We went to Cleveland, and then we went to Toledo.
As
in holy Toledo. Okay, so all right, so we went to the Hall of Fame, and then my old man, which he wasn't interested in the Rock and Roll Museum, he just did it for me, but he was a good sport, and he kind of was like, yeah, great. But to be honest with you, I don't know. It was kind of like there's a bass, a guitar, a drum set, and a costume. Great. Oh, here, look, another bass, guitar.
So you
drum
weren't
set,
overly impressed.
I think the key to the rock and roll music, I think you got to go if you've ever turned
Just
on
to
the radio,
say you went.
You got to go to say you went. But I think the key is to go if there's like some kind of thing, like they have events,
What were you expecting to see, like mummified bodies? Like you want to see like Keith Richards behind glass or something?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question. I really didn't know what to expect, and that's exactly what I got. So
I just looked it up. Honestly, it just says here that Cleveland was the only one that was pledging a huge amount of public money to fund the construction of the actual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because otherwise, it was either Memphis, Detroit, or New York City.
All right. So who out of Cleveland was an artist, a musician that
I can't think of Eric Carmen. Eric Carmen was from that area, and he's barely qualified to be
I can think of Drew.
Famous.
I think of Drew Carey, but that's a comedian.
Yeah, but he's not.
he's from there.
I did find out I missed by 2 weeks. I missed the Mojo Nixon exhibit.
You a Mojo Nixon fan?
Oh man, how could you not be?
He used
You're
to
a
live
local
in
San
Del Mar.
Diego guy.
He used to live in
Yeah,
Del Mar.
used to live in Coronado.
Coronado. That's right. And I used to listen to him all the time.
How do you not like Mojo?
I know.
I would have liked that. It would have been great. But the old man, so we're there. It's like 6 stories high, and the old man has I was going to say he has radar, but it's more appropriate to say he probably has sonar. Finds a World War II submarine that you can, from the Rock and Roll Museum says, hey, that's a World War II submarine. So I'm like, all right.
He looked out the window?
Yeah. We walked about 100 yards, and sure enough, they have an old World War II sub that you could. Did
you go in?
We toured it. I got to tell you, man, the old man's 83 today. Yesterday he was 83. He's still. I mean, you had to go down this little portal. I mean, so it wasn't usually with those museums. They rip up the deck and make this big old ADA compliant.
Not him.
No, it's just and boom, we went right down like a mountain goat.
And you're going, I'll see you up here, Dad. Let me know how it looks.
But that was cool. And then we Ubered over to, this was the highlight. This is really why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Remember the movie A Christmas Story?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that house is in Cleveland. It was shot in Cleveland. Apparently, remember the store where Santa Claus was?
Right.
So the producers or whatever, director, the people making the movie, they put a call out and said, hey, we need a store that we can film at that's willing to leave their Christmas decorations up for 4 months. Mm-hmm. And they waited and waited. Finally, Higbee's in Cleveland said, all right, we'll do it, So they're great. Cleveland, fantastic. Because the actual town is supposed to be, I think, in Indiana, I think, if I remember correctly. So they're like, all right, great, Cleveland. Sounds great. So they went, and then they took a tour of the town. They got lost, and they found this little house. They had no plans to shoot it there, but they saw this little house, and they were like, this neighborhood and this house is perfect. Yeah. And it is this adorable little neighborhood built in 1890, this little blue-collar factory worker neighborhood. In 2004, a super fan bought the house off of eBay for $150,000 and restored it, put $250,000 into it, restored it. And we saw the BB gun, the Red Ryder BB gun, and the major award, and it's an Airbnb. You can stay there now.
It's a lot of famous stuff in Cleveland. You just have to hunt around for it.
Yeah.
I get it. Hats off to Cleveland. It was awesome.
I found a group out of Cleveland, 9 Inch Nails.
No.
Yep.
So that makes sense. What, an industrial band?
Yeah, and it's at Marilyn Manson too. So yeah, a lot of industrial music.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Both those guys.
Yeah.
Hey, if you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California's best firearm lawyer. And that means John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. So put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150. Put his number on your phone right now. All right. Nick Rians?
Nick Rians, yeah.
Is this your call?
It would be. Is he here? I don't know if usually Brendan says Nick's here.
I'm here.
There you go.
Hey, Nick, welcome to the show. This is Joe. You remember me. But
I remember you, Joe. I appreciate you having me on the show.
So thank you very much for calling in.
I think that rhymed.
Yeah. So here we go.
Here we go. So Nick Rians, the owner and officially CEO, I guess, of Ghost Ring Tactical, which is one of the coolest firearms training facilities around here. So I got a chance to go out there in May, I guess, with a couple of friends, and it was just really interesting, really special, great school. So Nick's come on to tell us all about it. So Nick, can you tell us tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your background and stuff, and then Ghost Ring and what exactly is Ghost Ring, what you guys have out there?
Yeah, sure. So my background, went into the Marine Corps straight out of high school. I was with 2-4 Infantry Battalion when I was there. During my time in, I did a few operations over in the Middle East. Was a rifle range instructor. Ended up leaving the Marine Corps as infantry platoon sergeant. Tried law enforcement for a little bit. Didn't really like that, so went back to the private sector. Been teaching firearms since 2005. Started out there in California. Taught a lot with the Firearms Training Associates out there in Corona. And then taught my own classes out there. Got into executive protection, so basically the fancy word for bodyguarding. So I got to work with a lot of celebrities in the California area, and then eventually bought 400 acres out in the high deserts of New Mexico and built a 400-acre firearms training facility. That is what I currently do now. And what we do out here, we run 4-day training classes. We have people traveling from all over the country. We've had people coming from Hawaii, Alaska. We just had, I think, 2 guys from Alaska here last class. And we spent 4 days training, sleeping, eating, everything with our students. So, Joe, you know all about it.
So yeah, and that's what I wanted you to talk about too, because that's a little bit unique, is in terms of firearms training schools and things. The way you guys do things are a little bit different. So talk a little bit about that, because I think it's going to be something that most people have not experienced before.
Sure. So for us, when I developed this facility out here, we're out in the middle of nowhere. We're completely off-grid. All of our structures are completely solar. And I knew that we couldn't run just like 2-day weekend classes. We're just too far out in the middle of nowhere for people to come out for 2 days, especially for people to travel from all over the country to train with us. So I had to come up with something different. And when I came up with this, I don't think there's many people doing it when I first came out with it, was basically having a facility where you would come and you stay with us for the 4 days. So if you fly in, I have a 25-passenger bus that we pick you up at the airport. We haul you down here. We have a bunkhouse where everybody sleeps. We have a classroom area where we do all the classroom. We actually have a brand new theater room for the students now, with a big old TV and ping pong. We got a fire pit. So my goal was to try to create an environment or an experience that was different than everybody else. And what we've seen over the years, we've been doing this for 7 years, is that our students leave with a little bit more of a sense of camaraderie, I guess you could say, where they stay friends with a lot of the students that they play with. They stay friends with us as the instructors. Just last weekend, we had, I think, a student that attended our second class ever, and he's continued to train with us for years and years and years, and he keeps coming out here 7 years later. So, yeah.
Well, and that was something I noticed too. And I was watching, I watched your podcast a little while ago where you guys were talking to former students, and
Yes.
Jay hit on something that I noticed when I was out there too, because if people didn't catch this when you were talking about it, what's one of the things that's unique about Ghost Ring is you go out there, you stay on the property. Nick's got bunk houses that they've built up for it. They feed you. The instructors stay there with you, and the instructors cook the food. And, it's really, that's a unique thing out there, because something that Jay brought up on the podcast and that I noticed too, is that you develop, like you're saying, that camaraderie. Because usually, when I try to do these multi-day trainings every year or so at different places, and, usually the training's over, everybody goes back to their hotel, wherever they're at, they go out to dinner where they're going to go. The instructors hang out together with their buddies, and you don't get that. At Ghost Ring, everybody's together there, and that's pretty unique. And I think that's a big part of the experience out there.
That is cool. I like that a lot, especially the cooking part.
It was good, yeah. It's and there's also the alcohol part that goes there. Because the other thing which is good. The other thing that's unique too is when you get there, and there's alcohol and stuff there. But what they do at Ghost Ring is they lock up everything, so everybody checks in, all the guns, all the ammo, stay secure on the range. Everybody else goes back to, or you all go back to the area where everybody's going to stay, and it's really a great setup there. So I was going to ask you how you came up with that idea, because the other thing, too, that I wanted to talk to you about is it's a really, the way you guys arrange it and the way you guys do it, it's a really kind of economical thing, too. It's a really good deal on top of being like world-class training. Because Mark showed me, my friend Mark Gomez that I came out there with.
Mark's a great guy.
Yeah, Mark can be frugal, I think is a good word.
Mark's a frugal guy.
And so Mark's not going any place it's not a good deal money-wise, and he's also not going any place it's not a high-quality deal. And he checked it out once and thought it was good, then went again, and then I went with him the third time. But how'd you guys come up with that approach and your idea to do it that way?
Like I said, it's like with us being out here in the middle of nowhere, I've tried 2-day classes and they didn't work. People didn't want to travel all this way just for 2 days. So we had to make it a 4-day classes. So all of our classes are 4 days long. So if you make the trek out here, you're going to spend enough time with us that you're going to be able to get, enough quality training in.
I was going to say the other scheme too is your pricing scheme, because you do your Black Friday thing, which again is a great deal, which is what hooked Mark in, and then you've got kind of a ranking system, I guess, for students that come out there.
Yeah, we got our gunfighter program. So yeah, for pricing wise, I try to keep the price down. It's like I own everything out here. I own all the land. I own all the structures. I don't have bills, so I have no overhead. So why not pass that savings on to you guys as the students? I make plenty of money with what we charge, and I don't need to, break the bank with students wise when it comes to the price wise, just because I don't have to. Yeah.
That's
go ahead.
I was going to say, so it sounds. I mean, it doesn't sound like you're not trying to get rich. You know what I mean? Like nobody goes and buys a big chunk of land and comes up with the concept where, people stay in their bunkhouse and you cook for them and you stay with them, whatever. You know what I mean? You're not there's a much bigger and more important motivation than money. And what was yours?
Training people. I absolutely love training people. And I actually bought all this property here for retirement property, because I lived in California when I bought it. And I'm like, hey, this is going to be my escape from California. And then I bought my first 140 acres, and then I think I lasted about a year. And then I was like, well, I have all this land. What can I do with it? And I was like, well, I've been teaching firearms for years. Why don't I try that out? So that's how it all started. And I wanted to build something where it's something I could do when I'm like retired. Like, hey, I don't want to really work that much anymore. This I could still see myself doing, as I'm old and
doesn't feel like work.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't mind going out there. I don't mind training these people. So I've made enough money in the other businesses that I've created and ran for years before. This is more. It really started off with just more of, hey, I really love it. I really enjoy training people, and then it's kind of grown from there.
So Nick, talk about the classes that you guys offer too, because I did the Gunfighter 1 class, which was outstanding rifle handgun class. But what else do you guys offer out there?
All right, so yeah, the Gunfighter class, the one you took, that was kind of our mix. That's a great one to start with. So it's about 50% pistol, 50% carbine. We've got some CQB mixed in. We've got some other stuff mixed in. That's like I said. If anybody asks me, hey, which one should I start with? I always tell them that one. Then we have our Urban Tactics class. That is all concealed carry pistol. That is our most popular class. So that one is that's sold out all of this year, and it's already half full going into 2025. Wow. We just released our first half of 2025 next year. Yeah. So that one's really popular. That one's probably the most practical, especially if you carry concealed. So we do. I just don't think that concealed carry classes teach enough for people. There's no drawing from concealment. There's no, how to defeat a garment. There's not enough to it. So we spend 4 days working on different drills to help you become a better concealed carry holder. We go into vehicle combat tactics. We go into home defense. We go into, again, more building clearing, CQB stuff. So that one's all concealed carry pistol. We also have our lone operator class. That is almost, I would say 95% of it is carbine, so most of it's rifle. And the reason that we developed that one is because of our gunfighter class. We saw that a lot of students had a lot of time behind their pistol, but they didn't have a lot of time behind their rifle.
Yeah, that's my
we needed
case.
A class that was so we needed a class that was designed for 4 days of really focusing on just that platform to get them more comfortable, more proficient with that. And so we teach that lone operator class, which is all carbine, and it's all built on tactics where you're fighting by yourself. Because most of the time, unless you train with your significant other, unless you always travel around with a buddy that trains as well, a lot of times if you get caught in a situation, it's just going to be you.
Yeah, none of us have any friends either, so that that works perfectly.
Well, yes. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I really got no friends out here. So that's why I have to get my friends to travel in and train with us. So, and then our last class is our civilian sniper class. So that is exactly what it sounds like. It's all long range shooting.
Hey, Nick, hold
mission that we do.
Hey, Nick, hold that thought. We'll have you come back here after the break because I wanted to get into that class as well. There's a little bit of controversy with that I wanted to ask you about.
Hey, you want to learn to fly?
Yes.
Well, you get your pilot's license. San Diego is one of the best places to get your airplane pilot's license because pilots can fly almost every day. And San Diego Flight Training International is the best school to get your license. Give them a call at 858-569-1822. Learn to fly with SDFTI, 858-569-1822.
So, where did you get the name? I'm curious about Ghost Ring Tactical. What made you decide on Ghost Ring Tactical?
I was honestly searching through on GoDaddy, I think 4 years prior to even come up into this business. And I was like, let me try to find cool names. That is it.
You got to come up with something better than that. You got to make up a way better story. I was all alone, and there I was. And
a ghost ring came over the fire.
Yeah, right. My EOTech broke down, and all I had was my ghost ring.
All
right, we'll work on that. You and I will work on that.
Well, that actually should be pretty easy, considering how creative you guys are with the class and the material. One of the best modules that I remember there was, and then you never see this anywhere, was the bathroom training. The training on the bidet. How'd you come up with that one? Because that's unique.
You know what a bidet is?
I thought you were housebroken.
I was unsure until I went to Ghost
Squirted
Ring.
you in the face, and you said, that's a bidet.
Well, you get a.
So do you have a toilet gun now?
Oh, you get great training there. Talk
Velcro
about that.
to the tank?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, Nick developed that, I think.
Oh, sure. So yeah, our goal, one goal is to, train as many people as we can with, all our tactical skills, but also another one of our goals is to convert over as many people as we can to using bidets because we believe that they're so great. And
I'm with you. I got to tell you, I'll just say it. I'm with you on bidet. Yes, I absolutely have, and they are wonderful.
I was scared. I was scared at first too, guys. Yeah. I was scared.
It's okay, Dave.
But,
my first experience, I got it in the face. Well, I didn't know what it was. I looked over and I pushed the button and it right in the face.
Yeah, so there was
all right, so then it worked as designed.
I think you're right.
The nicer ones actually have sensors that knows when you're sitting on them. So they don't just go off when you push buttons. But the ones we have, in our facility, yes, they're the cheap ones too. If you turn it on, it's going to spray you in the face.
Okay, so Nick, Joe off air, because I was asking, because you have barracks, for the participants, and I asked him what do you do for women, and he said you have a special area so women have their own barracks and restrooms and what have you. But you have a snoring department, people that snore. You put them either farther out.
So we put them in their own separate room where they can hopefully close the door so we can
sleep.
That is a problem. I mean, if you guys have ever lived in a barracks before, it's like the noise, the snoring, the farting. It gets pretty bad.
We were talking about that off air. Well, you know what? Now, all joking aside, there's a lot of people that were in the military that have issues with that. Now that they've gotten out. So I'm glad to see. Boy, you are really thinking of everything.
I can't stand it. I mean, I used to sleep down there with my instructors, and I remember a few classes where my instructors were snoring so bad, I took a tent and set it up outside.
Sure.
Just so I didn't have to listen to them snoring. They called it my tent of sadness. That's what they called it.
Where are you located? What state?
We are in New Mexico. So we're right near Socorro, New Mexico, about in the middle of the state.
Okay. Now I heard that that at the end of the course, or at the end of one of the courses, there's like a Red Dawn scenario.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till the end.
We're gonna wait.
Well, because Michael's kind of a Red Dawn groupie, so I thought, well, once we start the Red Dawn thing, there we go. But now that it's out,
I couldn't help.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's out.
Because you got, by the way, that's where Red Dawn was filmed. Was in North New Mexico. It was Las Vegas, New Mexico, which I don't know how close that is to you guys, but
That's about 4 hours away from us.
Close enough.
Yep.
So go ahead. So talk about the Red Dawn scenario at the end of the training.
I mean, well, realistically wise, I mean, this is why I have my facility out here. We are ready for little men to come, falling down from the sky. So my facility is completely self-sufficient. So the only thing that we're relying on right now is propane delivery. But other than that, we have a well for water. We have two $30,000 solar systems in place that makes all the structures run like regular houses. We have fruit trees out here. We have gardens. We have all that kind of stuff. So that's one way that we have chickens. We have animals. We have all that stuff. But for our classes, we end all of our classes with a final test or final mission. I don't want to give too much away because that's part of the surprise for people when they come out here. But like for our gunfighter class that Joe took, that one is a two-man final mission. So I give you a full mission brief on this is what's happened. That class there has more of a Red Dawn feel where we've been taken over, and you and your partner have to go out and take down the enemy camp and rescue your family. Let's say our civilian sniper one, that is a two-man sniper mission where we put you out about right around 3 miles. You and your spotter have to get from point A to point B within a certain amount of time. There is one of us instructors out there hunting you at the same time. When you get to the top of the hill, you've got to get there before sunrise. So that's an early one. That one you start around 3 o'clock in the morning. So you've got the cover of darkness. You have to get to the top of the hill. Once you get to the top of the hill, the sun comes up. You have to identify your target, your HVT. We have different targets out there with actual different faces on them. So you have a whole target package that you have to look at the target package, what he looks like, identify him. You have to radio it in, and then we clear you guys to take out the HVT.
That all sounds awesome. That all sounds really, really cool. But
I'll be there Thursday.
Well, but I do want to bring up. I just want to. What if now I don't have to worry about it? I'm in awesome shape. I mean, you look at me and wonder what Greek god I was formed after. But what do you tell people, like people that are kind of listening to this going, oh my God, can I accomplish that physically? What would you say to folks who are maybe concerned?
Well, so the only one that we make sure physically you can handle it is our sniper mission one. Mm-hmm. Just because you're hiking for quite a while. All the other ones are pretty short hikes. They're not very long. And that one, we have you on day 3 out here. We have you walk from the bunkhouse up to the top of the hill. And that's where we shoot out from 8, 9, and 1,000. And then we have another target set up at like 15, 20. You shoot at those targets. So that is where we're looking for physical fitness. If you can't physically walk up to this hill, it's a pretty steep hill. If you can't walk up it, then you don't qualify for the patrolling part of that mission.
You still do the class. It's just you cut out the.
You still do the class.
Yeah, sure.
Can't we have an army jeep?
You, Dave, they just take you out to the back 40 and put you down.
I want an army jeep. I am not hiking up nothing.
We know that
in the mission briefing we cover, so the people that couldn't make it physically, instead of you hiking, we work it into the mission brief that you will be fast roping in to the top of the mountain, so there is no hiking for you.
Perfect.
And then we drive you up there. Yeah.
We know that does lead to another point that we were talking about when we were out there. We were talking about, your marketing and your customer base, basically. And, the subject came up that, a lot of your customers are, older, 40s, 50s, 60s or whatever, because they need time and money. But that was an interesting way, because I'm getting used now to being the oldest guy in the class anymore. It's like Dave's usually the oldest guy in the room. I'm finding out I'm the oldest guy in these gun classes now. But most of I think the youngest guy in our class was 33, and so I mean that works pretty well, though, it seems, in in your classes in your school.
Well, Mike should be able to do it.
No, they'd be able to do it. I mean, our average age that we get out there is between, I would say, 55 and 65. That's our average. And that's, for us, that's great. Like you said, they have the time, they have the money. I mean, getting off for 4 days, I mean, technically that's actually like 5 days, because you've got your travel days as well. Right. And that's a lot of time for people to get off of work. So we get a lot of business owners. We get a lot of doctors. We get a lot of lawyers. We get a lot of those type of clientele out here. And over the years, we've had to adjust some of our classes. We used to have this obstacle course that we run, and I retired that. I retired it 2 years ago because
good man.
The amount of injuries that I was causing, it was not worth it. If you know that you are fat and out of shape, there's no reason for us to show you.
Right. And if you have an obstacle course, you don't have enough land to bury everybody.
Yeah, and that was a good. I mean,
land.
I learned a bunch of stuff out there. I mean, it was just a great experience. But one of the things I learned is how far I can run with a rifle nowadays, and it's not nearly as far.
How far is that?
Yeah, it's not nearly as far as you thought.
Well, you got to have someone chasing you.
But
gives a little incentive.
Walking and hiking is okay, but and I can't run is such a strong word. Jogging is a better word.
Yeah, I guess.
But no, it was good. I mean, it wasn't too
you survived.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
The knees aren't happy, but everything else is okay. So.
What about women? Do you get a lot of women to come out to the course, or do you cater to the women's side?
We don't get that many. We don't market to the women usually. Like when it comes to like our social media marketing and stuff like that, we usually market to the men. That's our main clientele. We do get women that come out here, but it's usually them coming out with their husbands or boyfriends.
Okay,
that's usually what we see.
Sorry, Alicia.
We tried one of our female only classes, and it was a hard sell, especially if they don't know us. Hey, a female come out to the middle of nowhere.
Come sleep in a bunk with us.
Hey, you don't have any cell phone reception out here, so don't worry about getting a hold of anybody. It was a difficult sell for us, and we ran one women's only class, and all of them were wives of past students.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah.
That sounds like a cool operation you guys got going, man.
Sounds like it's a fun operation.
Yeah. What are you hoping to?
Yeah, and Joe, you actually took the most physical class. Our gunfighter class is actually our most physical class.
Well, that's good to know. It's all downhill from there because, like I said,
so it's you're good.
Because and I'll be back. I can't make it back out in October for the Gunfighter 2, but I will make it next year for that one. I think I'm going to try to do 2 classes next year. So,
right.
So yeah, because I learned a lot about what works and what doesn't work. Equipment-wise, I found out a lot about my equipment.
What? What'd you find? What didn't work, or what'd you find out about equipment?
My battle belt. When you're laying on the ground, rolling around, trying to switch directions with the rifle, my battle belt's terrible.
Time for a new belt.
I just bought the one that Nick has, actually, so I'm all set with that.
All right, folks.
Thanks,
Nick, it's been a blast. Enjoyed having you on.
What's the website?
All right, sir. I appreciate it, guys.
Website.
GhostRingTactical.com. That is where to find us.
And your podcasts are on YouTube, correct? Just search for Ghost Ring and they'll find them?
The podcast is on Apple, it's on Spotify, and it's on YouTube, and it's actually the American Gunfighter Podcast.
Hey, if you want gear at an affordable price, check out Condor Outdoor. Have you checked out their website?
Oh, Condor's great.
They're phenomenal.
I checked out Condor. I've been a fan of Condor even before
they were Condor.
They were Back when they were just an egg. No, I've liked Condor even well before they were a sponsor. Wow. They do a lot of great things.
So whether you're a military professional, law enforcement officer, radio host, or simply an avid outdoorsman, Condor products are designed to be versatile, durable, and above all, reliable. So if you're looking for the best of tactical gear, look no further than Condor Outdoor. You use code GOR for a 15% discount off the website. That's CondorOutdoor.com. And don't forget to use that GOR, Gun Owner Radio, for a 15% discount.
So we had a lot of good news in the gun world this week.
You know, we waited till you came back before they made this decision at the Supreme Court.
Do you think they were waiting for me?
Well, they knew you were on vacation. We had a long conversation.
Very polite of them.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Two things happened that were extremely good. One was, of course, the pistol brace decision, and then I think it was a little bigger. I don't want to, one's bigger, one's better, whatever. But the one we want to talk about more in depth was the bump stock decision, the Supreme Court's written decision on bump stocks, which I got to tell you, I can't believe we're here. Back when they were talking about, first off, bump stocks, I've never used a bump stock. Shooting your AR with your belt loop and your rubber band or whatever was always just kind of a,
shoot one with a bump stock?
No, I have not.
Have you ever shot one with a bump stock?
Of course not. This is California.
They've been illegal for a while.
Well, you never know. You know, Alicia.
But you didn't even need a bump stock to bump fire your gun. Back in the day, people were bump firing their guns, and it was just kind of a fun, kind of silly thing to do.
Couldn't hit anything.
And then they outlawed bump stocks, and I just thought it was kind of one of those like, well, I don't know. Okay,
I'm going to lose something. That's not a big deal.
Maybe that's the best way of putting it, Dave. Yeah. But I didn't. There was definitely a lot of internal, like, do we go after this? Why do we go after that? I mean, is this that important? Yeah. Do we just let this go? And they didn't let it go. But the reason it didn't get let go is an important reason. But I never ever expected to read 20 pages from the Supreme Court on exactly what a bump stock is and why it's important to follow the right procedure.
20 pages?
Yeah, it was 20 pages. Well, just the majority decision was 20 pages. It's very interesting. It was the majority decision was written by Clarence Thomas, who's long been like the Second Amendment judge. I mean, even before the Heller case, long before McDonald, long before Bruin, Clarence Thomas would work things in to his writing about the Second Amendment. He's long been a Second Amendment guy. So he wrote the decision, and then Alito agreed with the decision, but wrote his own little section saying, "Hey, I agree, but let me clarify some things." Mm-hmm. And then Sotomayor and the other two wrote their disagreement. They didn't agree, but it was interesting. The vast majority of the decision, both for and against, was about the function of a trigger. Why is a bump stock not a machine gun? How does a trigger actually work? But that's not the value of this thing. The value of this decision isn't that, hey, bump stocks are now legal in most states unless they're outlawed by local law or for state law. It was a smackdown of the ATF. The ATF is not the legislative branch of the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. And the ATF said, hey, remember that thing that we said was legal? Well, now we're going to say it's illegal. And not only are we going to say it's illegal, but we're going to say we're going to decide that it is now a machine gun. That's what we're going to decide. And we're an unelected I got to tell you, I was on KUSI yesterday morning, and on air and on this show before, the ATF, in our experience out here in California, has been nothing less than a predatory agency, and I stand by that. That's not hyperbole. Mm-hmm. You don't go become an ATF agent because you want to protect the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And gun shops, gun owners, I've seen ATF agents be nothing less than predators. And I got to tell you, if you're an ATF agent, you want to call me, 858-335-9320, I'd be happy to listen to you tell me why the stories I've seen and heard doesn't make your agency predatory, because you're wrong. And I think the ATF has long needed a smackdown, and for it to come from the Supreme Court is a beautiful thing. An absolutely beautiful thing.
So it is, and I think one of the things that's really important about that is what they've told them is the ATF cannot change the definition of words that Congress have written. Congress writes the statutes and the legislation with an intended purpose there. They can't go through and redefine the words and say, okay, now this thing we say it means this or that. And they just had the ATF, Dettelbach, was that his name? They just had him on testifying in front of Congress, and that's exactly what he's saying. Is it's our interpretation of the legislation. We're just following what Congress is telling us to do, and we're interpreting it. And what this ruling tells the Supreme Court has told the ATF now with this ruling is that you cannot do that.
Yeah, you can't. Congress can't abdicate
those words. Those words mean what they mean,
right?
So you can't change that. And John Lott pointed this out in an article he just wrote, and I've linked to these. If you catch my Substack, the getagrip.substack.com, the weekly roundup this week's got a couple on that subject. But what Lott points out is that if the Supreme Court would have allowed them to do that, then that would wipe out. That could ban a whole bunch of different semi-automatic guns and parts and different things that fall under that definition once you're allowed to do that. So this is really an important ruling.
It is, and not just, but I mean, even above and beyond guns. I mean, the FCC can't suddenly decide that microphones are not okay for reporters. They fit the definition. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's got huge implications. Now, I think there's probably they're gonna need a few more decisions, and I don't think it was the huge smackdown it should have been and could have been, but I think it's an extremely important step. And you were talking about redefining. By the way, if you're reading decisions, especially Supreme Court decisions, start with the dissent. Always start with the dissent, because the majority usually addresses the dissent pretty thoroughly. So it's good. I always start with the dissent. And Sotomayor, who is not the best writer in the world. I don't know. I don't know how this lady got on the Supreme Court, but
yeah, you do.
But she started out, like, I think it was like paragraph number 1, that, hey, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and swims like a duck, it's a duck, which is what she was saying. Hey, this thing, if it looks and acts and whatever like a machine gun, it's a machine gun. Well, what if a parrot, quacks? Is a parrot a duck now? No. So what she's saying isn't true. I realize she was trying to be folksy and make a little point there, but it's simply not true. Just because you want it to be a machine gun, or just because it mimics the results of a machine gun, which this doesn't even quite do that, doesn't mean it is a machine gun, and certainly doesn't mean that the ATF has the ability to decide that. And that's what this whole thing was really, truly about.
Well, and that's a really good point, too, because John Hinderaker from Powerline wrote about that this morning. And I linked that article in my weekly roundup this morning. But he starts out, he has an excerpt from Clarence Thomas's opinion, and then from Alito's concurring opinion, and then he includes the opening and Sotomayor's dissenting opinion. And it's a real contrast. You could see how those different justices approach what it is they're supposed to be doing, because you could see how Thomas lays out exactly what the issue is, what the law is, what the language is, and why. You could see Sotomayor starts off again with the ducks and the quacking, and it's just her approach to the her position there basically is, well, we're open to interpret this any way we want to. The laws are just kind of guideposts, and we could make whatever interpretation we want. And
well,
it really shows that.
I think I'll tell you this. I haven't seen anybody else talk about this, but I think she has hurt her side when it comes to, for example, like if an assault weapons case ever makes it to the Supreme Court, because her whole thing the whole writing that she put together was basically, hey, look, you got this M16, that's a machine gun, and then you have this innocent little normal standard AR, and that's just a normal gun until you put an evil bump stock on it, and then it turns it into. So she's basically making the point that ARs, quote unquote, assault weapons are totally common. They're totally, they're not exotic, they're not dangerous. In an attempt to make bump stocks seem more dangerous, she's basically made the point that ARs, that assault weapons bans are, it's going to be used against her. If some smart people, and I know there's smart people out there working on these cases, are going to use her words against her, and that's what happens when you have to reach, to make your point, when you're wrong, and you have to thread this needle to make a point, you end up talking yourself, into a corner.
Well, again, just playing on the emotion part. Something I heard Sam Paredes on, I think he was talking to Megyn Kelly the other day.
Gun Owners California, great guy.
Yeah, and he mentioned something I didn't know. Because this whole thing came out of the Las Vegas shooting, and that's when everybody got worked up about, or that's when the left decided we're going to use bump stocks as an issue.
Right.
But he said that shooter up there had, had a number of guns, and some of them had bump stocks. But it's not clear that if he was using those guns with the bump stocks in the shooting, which is a minor point. But I mean, I had always just assumed that he was using bump stocks, and that made a big difference up there. And that's not really true,
not necessarily true. So let me make one quick point. So Alito really nailed it. Thomas was just like, hey, look, the actuality of it's not a machine gun. And then Sotomayor made this emotional, kind of BS statement. But Alito was basically like, look, maybe it should be treated the same way as a machine gun, but the fact is it's not. And his was really a very, very strong argument.
Where do people go to read that?
I would, I'd go to Firearms Policy Coalition has it up on their website, so I'd go there.
Okay. All right. Hey, firearms legal protection. If you're a gun owner, you need legal protection. Even if you do everything right, even if you're 100% justified, you should be prepared for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. That's why you need firearms legal protection. When you join, you get uncapped legal protection for self-defense, for civil or criminal cases with a 24/7 hotline. Joining is easy. Just go to firearmslegal.com and click on Become a Member. Use code GOR for a discount. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you are protected. If you are ever involved in self-defense incidents, firearmslegal.com and use discount code GOR.
Awesome. Okay, subscribe and win. Subscribe to our email list and win some swag. This week's winner is Ash Couture. Ooh. Is that how you say that?
That's a good guess.
Ash, please email us at prizes@gunownersradio.com to claim your T-shirt or hat. And if you would like a T-shirt, let us know what size you are. If you want to win, go to our website, gunownersradio.com, and subscribe. Okay, top of the hour announcement. If you missed out on the symposium talks from the gun show a couple weeks ago now, the videos are about to be published. So make sure you don't miss out on some great talks. All you got to do is subscribe to Gun Owners Radio's newsletter at gunownersradio.com/subscribe. Now, we have some really great talks from Second Amendment attorney Gary Gibson. He's an excellent criminal defense attorney and an all-around great guy. Escondido Mayor Dane White, who is a legit Second Amendment guy. He was a member of San Diego County Gun Owners before he was ever an elected official. Actually, he might have been a school board guy. But anyway, he's actually manned tables and has been a member for years. Dane White, the mayor of Escondido, came out and gave a talk, and he's such a good guy. Comedian and actor Mark Christopher Lawrence, Desi Bergman, talked about Not Me SD, Women for Rights, California director Kimberly Southwell, and the Second Amendment Foundation's Adam Kraut, who wants me to call it SAF. Second Amendment Foundation, SAF.
Cool.
Yeah, so check it out. gunownersradio.com/subscribe. Oh, and a very special shout out and a big, huge thank you to Mike's Barbecue in Escondido. You guys donated lunch for all the volunteers at the gun show, and I can't tell you how much that meant. What a great thing to do. So stop by Mike's, go to their restaurant. It's on West Valley Parkway in Escondido. Order some ribs and tell them thank you for us, please. Oh God, yes.
I love Mike's.
I like
Yeah.
Mike's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm at least one belt loop bigger, solely due to Mike's barbecue.
Mike also has bones for dogs that you can go in for $20. He'll buy you. He has sacks of bones just for your
your
dog.
pooch.
Nice.
Nice. Joe, do you like? Are you a Mike's fan? Do you like Mike's?
I don't know if I've been in there or not.
All right. Well, then
so
this
I'll
week-
have to
Time
try
to
that
go.
out.
Yeah.
I'm off this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, you
good
just
week.
told me you're off, so
All right.
this week we might go do some Mike's.
Yeah,
I got to
the-
look at my calendar, but
The
I think we
bones
can-
can't help me out because I got pugs. They don't have teeth. So
Well, I got to tell you,
Gotta
it's
have
Keith.
teeth for-
I went and bought Michelle a bag for the dogs.
Yeah.
She thought I got him home. So I'm not giving these to the dogs. Look at all the meat that's on these bones. And we had them for dinner.
I can't believe you just said that on the radio. I hope she's not listening. She's
Yes, she
going to wring
is.
your neck.
Yes, she is.
Okay, couple of things. First off, I got a big announcement that I'm very, very proud of. It's been in the works for a while, and I don't think I've mentioned it because I really wanted to make sure it was happening before I talked about it. But on the way back from the Midwest, I stopped in the beautiful city of Las Vegas to meet with some of the folks from Firearms Policy Coalition. Firearms Policy Coalition is such a great group. They've been around for years. They're doing all kinds of great stuff. They're the ones that did so many of their cases. We partner with them. San Diego County Gun Owners, Orange County Gun Owners, Inland Empire Gun Owners partners with them on so many of our lawsuits. They're such a no-nonsense Second Amendment group. You know, they just go right for the jugular. They file lawsuits. They work with us. We play our position in the field. They play theirs, and it's absolutely wonderful. I don't think a lot of people know that before Firearms Policy Coalition, there was a 501c3 that did a lot of lawsuits that still exists, and it's called California Gun Rights Foundation, CGRF. California Gun Rights Foundation. And if you go on their website and check them out, they show you everything they've ever done. And they were kind of a lot of the same people who started Firearms Policy Coalition were responsible for California Gun Rights Foundation. They kind of came about, or not kind of, they really came about from folks who met on calguns.net. And they were some of the earliest true activists in California, like doing real work. Not just people that, mouthed off about it. These guys put their money where their mouth is and really stuck it out there. And so a lot of the work that they were doing, California Gun Rights Foundation, turned into Firearms Policy Coalition, but there's still a lot of work for California Gun Rights Foundation to do. And I'm very, very proud that after a lot of back and forth and working things out and getting things all solidified and papers signed and conversations had and all that other good stuff, I am now running California Gun Rights Foundation.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, which is really, really awesome.
I thought you were getting a new Jeep.
They have no.
When he said he stopped in Vegas, I thought he got married.
No,
Yeah, me too.
no. Both of those are not probably ever happening. No new Jeep, no marriage. And I look at it as first off, I'm humbled because it really is the result of all the hard work that we've done down here in San Diego with San Diego County Gun Owners. But it is it's a tool for the.
So what's it entail? What? I mean, I know it's more work for you, but what is it?
Sure. So
for our listeners.
So really what they do is file lawsuits. They do some research, stuff like that, but really what they do is file lawsuits. And there's a whole list of the lawsuits that they filed and won and amicus briefs and everything on their website. Check them out. Give them a donation. But really the purpose going forward, and there's a board that runs it, a lot of really great people on their board, and we're going to have our board meeting and really talk about exactly what the future looks like. But one of the things about the future is, we've had these great lawsuits come from the Supreme Court. Most recent was Bruin. And I got to tell you, in 2008, after Heller happened, everybody said, oh, great. All our problems are solved. We don't have to do anything. And then McDonald's, oh, great. Well, all our problems are solved. We don't have to do anything. Then Trump was elected. Oh, great. All our problems are solved. We don't have to do anything. And then Bruin, and it's the same reaction. But I got to tell you, I've said it before. We're in the land of the self-governed. That's our government. That's the United States. And the price of that is ever vigilance. So there's a lot of cleanup work that has to be done. There are a lot of municipalities. There are a lot of departments that just aren't complying. with what needs to go on. So there's going to be a lot of cleanup work that needs to get done. There's a lot more lawsuits that need to happen. There's a lot more activism that needs to happen. We're not done. We're never going to be done. There's no such thing as being done.
No, they'll never give up.
But I definitely see a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of projects. And
Is it a headlight or a tail light?
No, it's a spotlight. Okay. That's what it is. And groups like Firearms Policy Coalition, and then, of course, California Gun Rights Foundation, and all the other Second Amendment groups that played their part on the field and did everything. We're looking. I think we're looking at an end to the assault weapons ban. We're looking at an end to the roster. We're looking at an end to. We already have seen an end to May issue for CCWs.
I can't wait to call it Armalite again.
Yeah, I think it'll be great.
I'm serious. I don't use the word.
No.
Assault weapon anymore. I don't
Absolutely.
do it.
Well, we're looking at an end, some very important projects, and we're looking at a positive outcome, but we're not done. We're never going to be done. We can't ever just say, hey, we're done. So check it out, California Gun Rights Foundation, and do me a favor, give them $10.
Absolutely.
Give them $10 just to say, hey, thanks. We appreciate it, and help everybody out. So anyway, a lot more of that is to come.
Did you get a badge?
No badge, not yet.
What?
I think I have to make my own badge. We don't need no stinking badges.
That's what the plug was.
What about a cape?
Oh yeah. Well, you get a cape?
No cape.
No cape. All right, folks. Then I guess we'll just take a boring
But thank you,
break.
Firearms Policy Coalition, everybody that runs Firearms Policy Coalition. You guys are wonderful. You guys are so hospitable to me, and I'm just proud to be part of this team, and I'm proud of everybody that helped, and our organization that everybody has found a home in. It's just been wonderful, and it's just more momentum, and I can't wait.
Hey, Not Me is for women, by women, and is designed to help women with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. If you're a woman or you know a woman who needs help, have her sign up, and we'll give her the help she needs. To sign up, just go to notmesd.org.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about, we got a couple things we want to talk about that I think will both be good discussion items here, a little kind of a round table. But one of them is Hunter Biden. Did you hear? Did you hear what happened?
No, what happened?
Seriously?
No, what happened?
All right. So Hunter Biden. So here's the deal. I mean, just plainly spoken, it is this. Hunter Biden is very clearly not a good person.
Really?
Yeah, I know. What a shocker, right?
But I did meet a guy that knew him very well, and he said he was the nicest guy he'd ever met.
No, and I saw a good
a lot of people are.
Saw a good quote too this morning. It was and as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me,
yeah,
growing up just like me.
So
he's boy.
He clearly, and it's not like I think everybody's pretty much a spectrum. I think that there are very few people that are all bad, all good. There are usually people who do some good, do some bad, make some mistakes. There are people who bring out the worst in other people, and those two people shouldn't be together, whether they're friends or acquaintances or married or whatever. And I think that there are people that in some situations are awesome people, and in other situations are total scumbags, and, we're all flawed and whatever. But Hunter is truly not a good guy.
Well, he's privileged.
I think he's beyond privileged. In fact, I heard somebody make the case that he displays a lot of behaviors of somebody who experienced abuse. That this guy acts out and has the personality of someone that has experienced abuse. And then you tie that in with, Biden's daughter's diary. Mm-hmm. Now I got to tell you, that's way above my pay grade. Mm-hmm. But I do think that it is not outlandish or hyperbole to say that this guy's drug addiction and the things that he does and the behavior is beyond just simply being a flawed person.
Oh, he's got
making mistakes. I think there's some major issues here.
Mm-hmm.
The one issue they decided to hang him on is that he lied on his
4473.
4473.
Here's in the history of ever, has there ever been anybody else charged with that?
So that's where we're going.
Is it a crime? Absolutely. However,
usually this kind of crime is, something that they tag on to other crimes. Like, hey, we busted this guy robbing a bank, and we found drugs, and we found illegal guns, and we're going to get him in another, make it even more serious by the fact that he lied on his 4473. I looked around. I couldn't find any other standalone. And that brings up, I think, a couple of important things. One, I'm going to put out there and have you think about, and then I want to talk about another, and then let's circle back. First off, do you support the fact that they did this? Should we be supportive of the fact that they did this to the president's son? Okay. Think about it. Go ahead.
So you want us to take into account who he is, or just
That's what he
a
said.
person?
Yeah.
The president's son.
As a person and both,
Okay.
who he is and should they do this? Okay, so while he's thinking about that, go ahead.
So you guys are saying, wait, if I did that on a form, filling out a form to buy a gun, and they caught it, they would just say, "Oh,
But
wait,
stop.
you gotta
How would they catch it?
I don't know. That's
Because you're not the president's son. But let's talk about it. Let me keep going.
Let him continue.
Of course, you'd get nailed, but you wouldn't get nailed because you're not the president's son. So let's talk about it. But let's go down another road while you guys kind of talk about that. And I promise, I really do want to discuss it. We'll leave minutes to discuss it. I've talked about this, and it's not exactly directly related, but they have to clean up this drugs versus guns thing that's going on in the country. And I've talked about how, it's not getting cleaned up because Republicans hate drugs and Democrats hate guns. It has to get cleaned up. The way this question is formed, it's, do you have drugs or are addicted to them? And it's pretty cut and pretty cut and dry. Do you have drugs or are you, that's pretty, is it sitting in your hand, in your pocket, in your whatever? But the addiction part is so broad. You could drive a truck through. Are you addicted? And if you look at the definition of addiction from the federal government, you see it's even more broad. And it actually even talks about mores of local government.
And who makes that determination?
Exactly. So, but the local part, if you smoke pot every day in San Francisco, are you an addict? If you smoke pot every day in Oklahoma, are you an addict? I'll bet you in San Francisco they wouldn't consider you an addict, but in Oklahoma they would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, look, this is such a catch-all, ridiculous thing. It has to get solved. It has to get changed. And I think that if you're really truly a gun person, you're really truly a Second Amendment person, I think this form, which by the way, we've long had issues with this form. It was even mentioned in Red Dawn. Remember the scene in Red Dawn? No one remembers when they mentioned the 4473.
Nope.
So the Cubans and the Russians invaded this little town, and one of the instructions was go to the sports store and pick up the 4473s. That'll tell you everybody in town who has a gun. That was a part of Red Dawn. So we've long been against this form. I don't know if we'll ever get rid of this form, but I think that we as Second Amendment folks should absolutely demand better when it comes to what is referenced on this form, and specifically in this conversation, drugs. Something being addicted to drugs and this vague definition, this catch-all. I don't trust my government with that much authority and discretion and subjectivity, and I don't think anybody else should. No. Unless you're trying to nail somebody.
Let's go to your first question, so we won't run out.
Okay. Okay. So all right. Let's talk about it. So let me ask you this: they just nailed Trump. Do you think that's a good idea?
No, because that wasn't what he got nailed on. Was not illegal. I mean, it was just a accounting error, and they never proved that he did it for.
Well, that was the whole point. There's nothing illegal about paying somebody not to say stuff about you. And they called it
the valuation part.
Well, they called it the problem, I guess, the possible crime was that they called it a reimbursement or a legal fee instead of a reimbursement, which actually made him pay more taxes on it.
Exactly.
But why did they go after him?
Because he's President Trump, and
so
he's a threat to him.
I am as against them going after Trump because he's the president as I am them going after a scumbag Hunter Biden because he's the kid of the president.
Yeah, but they went after Hunter Biden. Okay, so they could say, well, look, we hung him on the gun charge, which nothing's going to happen from.
Right.
As opposed to, okay, we hung him on the gun charge and we're not going to investigate him on the real crimes that he really did.
Well, I think that's another part of it.
Yeah,
I think
there you go.
I think they're like, look in this hand. Look at this.
In fact, did you notice how he came out of the court all distraught and crying and all upset that he was?
Well, not only did I see that, I saw
he wasn't.
Who's that jerk from Joe Coffee or whatever? Morning Coffee, Morning Joe.
Morning Joe. What a
I mean, he was painting this guy like he was such a martyr.
Oh, I know.
And he was. Oh, look at
he
was more worried about his family than he was his own future.
He took one for the team. That's all he did, and it's all like they're not going to pardon him. They're not going to. BS.
Yeah, I don't think this was a victory for Joe. I think you nailed it. I think it's part of it. I think you nailed it. But I got to tell you, I do not like using laws, and I certainly don't like using gun laws against your political enemies. I think that's a banana republic, extremely dangerous precedent to set.
Who are you saying are you saying this is like conservatives going after Hunter Biden because he's Hunter Biden? Because that's not what this is.
What is it?
This is the other side going after, say, hey, look, we'll do this to Hunter, and then we won't have to. We could justify not investigating all the rest of it. That's what this is.
Either way, I'm against it.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm against it too. That's the whole point here.
They weren't. It wasn't. They weren't going. This wasn't like some moral. It's not a. We're not living in a better country today because Hunter Biden got. We're not safer today because it was purely politically driven.
They stopped
the term
the
is
bleeding.
lawfare is what it is. And
I've heard that.
One side that's doing. I mean, that's
I'm against
what
it.
Is.
I know, but all they did was stop the bleeding. If they could stop the bleeding and we don't go any farther. We don't now,
right? But it wasn't going after Hunter to get back at them. It was the same side going after Hunter, so they don't. So they could legitimately say, "Okay, we're done. We're not going to investigate this other stuff."
Yeah, but but he's still got the tax thing coming up. But even that has gone beyond its limitations. Just like
but that didn't matter with Trump.
Well, I understand. So they're trying to. You're right.
Taking a victory lap over this Hunter.
Ridiculous.
You're playing into their hand like Joe.
But Morning Joe did when Trump got 37, indictments, and now he's a felon.
Yeah, well, but B, I think that stepping back, I think conceptually this whole thing is we're going off the rails
it's
here.
Theater.
This is not this is not how to use the legal system.
No.
This is not what should be happening in politics.
Well, because the other really damaging thing this does, and not like we were talking about the ATF, and I agree with you completely. It's a predatory organization.
Right.
It always has been. It spends more
why
time going after normal people, than it does going after criminals. And I hope if we get a good election result here that they disband that agency. It needs to be gone. But
I was thinking about that.
Using this other stuff, though, like doing what you're talking about with the lawfare, they've destroyed the integrity of great agencies, or used to be great, like the FBI and real legitimate agencies, because, again, you're weaponizing them and using them against your political enemies, and that's really wrong. It's really a bad direction to be going in.
And there's no reason why a next president, and as he gets his group in there, he can do the same thing to the other side.
Yeah.
And it'll just perpetuate.
Well,
just
that's
never
exactly
ends.
right. Which is another point about the ATF and bump stocks. It's another point about Trump. It's another point about. It's all the same stuff. And I think that we just seem to be losing our integrity. People can say a lot of things about me. My enemies, my friends. You can say a lot of things about me and the organization. If you like our results or not. But we have integrity and we're extremely honest.
Exactly.
And wide open.
Hey, do you belong to an association, a club, or an organization that is wrestling with their marketing? Well, most organizations waste a lot of money on marketing because it's so tough to manage everything, the website, social media, e-commerce, emails, and the list goes on. Well, leave that frustration behind and go to Sage Tree Fractional Marketing Department Services. They take care of everything, planning, development, advertising, and more. Getting started is real easy. Visit SageTree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button at SageTree.com and click on the Schedule a Call button.
All right, everybody. Okay, more discussion. Been gone for 3 weeks. Got a lot to talk about. So first, before we go into it, I wanted to. I didn't want a show to pass without mentioning Jim Miller. Jim Miller from the Miller versus Bonta case. That's the assault weapons case. The only assault weapons win in court in the nation. And of course, they actually have two. He's also on the school board. He's a founding member of San Diego County Gun Owners, and some jerk is running against him. So I want to make sure you guys go to Miller's page. It's Miller for School Board, and make a little donation and help him out. We're going to need volunteers to walk neighborhoods and make sure that Jim gets elected. You get no help from the Republican Party at all this election season. By the way,
why is that?
Because they're completely and totally useless and inept.
Okay.
So they're not really not. They're not putting any money into their candidates this election season.
Mm.
Let that sink in.
Well, that's because California is just a one-side state.
Let that sink in, though. They're not putting any money towards their candidates.
Well, neither am I.
So what does their endorsement mean, if anything?
Wow.
Anyway, so we're gonna need some help with Jim. Jim's a really good dude. I got to tell you, man, that guy gets elected. He stands up to the anti-gun extremists on the dais, in his meetings on the dais. Stands up to anti-gun extremists. Stands up to COVID extremists. Stands up to the BLM extremists. Stands up to the LGBT extremists on the dais, and then some quote-unquote Republican decides to run against him. What does that tell you about Republicans? I mean, this guy's putting his neck out there and really standing up for issues from a school board. Mm. Plus, he puts his name on an assault weapons lawsuit. And so what do the Republicans do? Well, there's some guy running against them who's a Republican. So welcome to disgrace. Okay, let's chat for a second. So a week or two ago, well, I'll explain it. Couple weeks ago, Gun Owners Radio on our social media put up a graphic that there's kind of this graphic going around. The ATF is gay. It's pretty much, that's all it says. ATF is gay. And a listener and member of San Diego County Gun Owners, somebody who is passionate about guns, somebody who actually shows up and does stuff. He isn't a passive, whatever. He is gay. And said, hey, man, what are you doing here? And I thought, well, let's at least chat about it. Let's talk about it. And he and I, had a whole conversation about it. And I wanted to look at this thing from a couple of different angles. Back in the 80s and 90s, when I would call things gay, I didn't mean they were homosexual.
No, you thought they were happy.
No, that's not what I meant. How old are you, Dave?
Really old, because it was gay back in the day.
Oldest guy in the room.
So that's kind of where I was going. The definitions, the way you use words changes over time.
Oh, yeah.
And where I was actually going with this was when I said, oh, man, that's gay, I meant it was lame. That's lame. Like if something was gay, I didn't mean it was homosexual. It wasn't a reference to being homosexual in any way. It meant it was lame. And where I was going to go was back when you were apparently young.
Yeah,
it didn't mean homosexual then either. It meant happy.
We're having a gay old time.
So they took this word and said, all right, hey, we're going to make it our word. Okay, I totally get that.
If you want it.
You have it. And I was actually, I'm actually kind of, it was for the last like 20 years, calling things gay was to mean lame was forbidden, and it turned into this whole big issue. And I was actually kind of happy, I guess. Like I know South Park put out a whole episode where they talked about this. I don't know if you guys saw it, where they basically made the same point. They're like, look, we're not talking about being homosexual. What if you see a BMW driver cut you off in traffic and don't use their blinker or whatever? What would you say? Well, I'd say that person was gay. Yeah, exactly. Because they're lame, not because they're homosexual. That was a part of this South Park thing.
Okay, hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Did you ever think gay?
Joe, you're talking to Joe.
Yeah, and that was lame?
Yeah, no, I've seen
Yeah.
it used that way. Yeah.
I've only heard of it personally during the 2000s era. Whenever someone said, "Oh man, well that's just gay," and all of a sudden that would mean the lame, and then our society has turned that term into something else.
That's the only way
But I was just going to mention, I can think of a couple of other terms. These kids these days, they say blase, blase, blase for mean blah, blah, blah. And then another one I want to shout out is everyone will say, oh man, it's been a minute since I talked to him, which is supposed to mean a long time. So our attention spans have shrunk all the way down to 1 minute instead of like a year or so.
Well,
that's how disappointed I am in our society.
Gen, like Z, basically everybody under like 30, everybody under 30, 35, somewhere there, they don't understand. They don't understand sarcasm. You know, they don't understand
that sense of
It
humor
hurts
thing.
their feelings.
Yeah, no sense of humor.
So that's a whole other discussion.
Hallelujah. I can't understand my wife's sarcasm all the time.
So here's the thing. We took the meme down. I said, okay, well, let's take it down, but here's the thing. We're not going to apologize for something that we didn't mean. We're not apologizing for this.
Well, no.
Because we didn't, but what I did do is listen, and he's just like, look, in my subsection of the Second Amendment community, folks that are gay and gun owners or whatever, this does, we grew up, if someone called us gay, it meant something. It meant something bad. It made us feel bad. It made us feel
because they directed it at them.
So what his point was, look, man, say whatever you want to your friends. I get it. You weren't saying anything about being homosexual or whatever. But what I'm saying from his perspective is I'm trying to get more people like me in this group. And if this is the first thing that they see, like if this is their introduction, it's not helping the cause.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? Okay.
That's a good point.
So okay, if I'm talking to Joe, if I'm talking to, you guys, and I say something's gay or whatever, that's my choice. I'm not representing an organization.
But we'll know now that you didn't mean homosexual.
Well, everybody in the world already knew that, but you, Dave.
No way.
But what I'm saying is I'm not representing an organization. I'm not recruiting people. I'm not trying to. Right. We're not an organization. Successful organizations aren't an organization of people who say, hey, it's just us. Everybody else, stay, screw you guys. We have to be able to relate to other people. We have to be able to, reach out to other people and make sure that they feel welcome without compromising our principles,
I agree.
And I don't think we're compromising our principles. I think we're saying, hey, you know what? You're somebody who legitimately believes what we believe when it comes to Second Amendment. You're someone that's legitimately making an effort to recruit, and you're telling me, hey, you know what? You're making my job a little bit harder here. So, can you take it down? Because I got to tell you.
I think you made the perfect analogy is instead of just saying, no, go away. Come in, let's sit down, let's talk, tell me your side.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, this guy's got a point. The meme is not that important on the website, and he makes a point. So you listen to him, and you accept it, but there was no reason for an apology.
Yeah, and I didn't, yeah.
I get it. That makes, that's good management.
But I think that, when you're talking to people, everybody wants to win an argument. And activism isn't necessarily, and usually is not, winning an argument. It's bringing people over to your side. You win an argument. Nobody likes being like, oh, that guy just beat me. Nobody likes to be beaten, and that guy just beat me. Boy, I better join his side. No, that's not how activism is. It's finding out what ticks, and then relating your stance to them, so that they come to you.
I will join your group if you convince me.
Yeah, but okay, convince, but not beat, right?
No, convince.
Right.
When you tell me, Dave, here's the reason why. Yeah. Okay, you're right, but it's not winning an argument because like you said, arguments never get won one way or the other if it's hardcore. But I like the fact that if you can show me why I need to either think this way or do this, then okay, I feel better about it.
It's like telling somebody, hey, look, man, you got to value the Second Amendment because it's the Constitution and the Constitution's important.
I have one for you.
Well, what if that person doesn't think the Constitution's important?
I know. But I got one way better than that.
Go ahead.
I was at the bar. I was at judging the barbecue yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I not like to eat?
Anything?
Salmon.
Anything
Salmon.
but chicken nuggets?
Oh, yeah.
Salmon. Oh, my God. The mystery meat was salmon. And I went, oh, my God, what am I going to do? I'm in this contest. I'm a judge. I can't walk out. And they gave it to us as the first meal or the first tester.
So what'd you do?
How
did you overcome
all of it? It was delicious.
That means you get dessert.
Well, but the point is, I had it in my head that there was no way. I even took a picture. They said it was illegal, so I had to delete the picture. But just because I told my wife, I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it that I actually ate it and it was good. So to me, that's just have me open-minded.
You didn't just call the salmon gay? Is that what I'm hearing?
I could have, but it was really good. 6 different types, all barbecued.
Well, congratulations.
But anyway, I'm just saying.
You brought the salmon is definitely on your side now.
I'm almost thinking about, but see, now I don't want to eat it anywhere else.
You're going to start eating fish now?
Well, it was really
all kinds of.
Don't take it that far, Mike.
It was
It's going a
really
little far.
good.
But it was good. I was impressed. No, but I'm just saying, it falls right back to what we were just saying.
Right.
Well,
when you have a predetermined
Yeah.
mind made up.
Well, I just wanted to talk about it. I think
it was good.
I think it's every now and then taking a minute to talk about how to talk about the Second Amendment is probably a good idea. So there you go. There was my opportunity.
No, that was good.
If you disagree, email me. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy to delete your email if you disagree with me. I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't be the first time. All right. Have you been keeping your guns clean and lubricated like Mike?
Yes.
Well, if you have not, you've been procrastinating because cleaning your gun with traditional products is smelly, a pain in the butt. And so then you should go and get yourself some CO1. CO1 is an all-in-one product that cleans, lubricates, protects your firearms. Clean your guns faster, easier, safer, and with CO1. No more smelling like gas. Enjoy the confidence and peace of mind knowing your guns are protected with the best. Buy some now at CO1.com.
Yeah, go to CO1.com and buy anything.
Absolutely.
Buy anything, if you could, real quick, right now. They have a lot of stuff that's like under $20. Yeah, I think CO1.com is open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Check them out. All right, here we go. What do we got? Who wants to ask it?
We have Sam.
Alicia does such a good job.
I'll do the question.
Well, we're talking about Sam the gunman.
Is Sam here? We missed him last week.
Well,
is he here?
he was with Mike.
No, he wasn't with me.
He wasn't.
I don't know where he was.
Where was he?
Put him on the hot seat.
I don't know. Where were you, son?
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, where were you last week?
Flying.
The whole show crumbled because you weren't on. We had to make up our own.
About that.
Oh, you went flying?
Yeah.
That makes it better.
Well, you don't have a radio in your plane? Come on, dude.
Not that kind.
Oh. All right, well, Alicia in the blue hair is going to hit you with a question.
All right, Sam, we got a question for you. Your question is from Rich from Chula Vista. And the question is, what nickname did users give the Beretta APX due to its aggressive and unique slide serrations?
Rich from Chula Vista, thanks for writing in. What nickname did people give to the Beretta APX due to the unique slide serrations?
Correct.
Ooh.
I don't know that one. I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay, I'm familiar. I wasn't aware that this was the source of a nickname for it. I'm somewhat familiar with the Beretta APX. They've changed this on the new ones, but for a long time the APX had this weird slide serration pattern of a bunch of raised ridges instead of the closely spaced notches we're used to. So it was like, if you can imagine the opposite of like a Hershey bar pattern, raised instead of lowered. But oh man, yeah, I didn't know that was the source of a nickname. So I'm just gonna guess it had something to do with a Hershey bar. I don't know.
You're very close. Very, very close.
Actually, very close. Yeah. Although He's closer to the second
part
one.
B. Yes.
Yeah, they're not the first one.
All right.
You want to keep going, or should we just tell you what it is?
What do you mean closer than the first one?
We'll just go ahead and read it, Alicia.
All right, so here's the answer.
Yeah,
So
you got me.
all right. The Beretta APX earned the unconventional nickname the cheese grater, among some others, due to its aggressive and distinctive slide serrations, which resemble the surface of a kitchen cheese grater. This design ensured a superior grip, even in extreme conditions, making it highly functional, but also giving it a rugged and memorable appearance.
Now here's part B.
And the APX slide also earned the nickname of the tactical, and this I'm going to butcher, Toblerone.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
You know what that is, Sam?
Yeah, Swiss
It's like
chocolate bar.
triangular, yes,
Yeah.
because of the
Triangular, yeah.
slide serrations, closeness and appearance to the Swiss chocolate.
So you were close.
Yeah, okay. Huh. Who knew? That's
Who
a
knew?
good question.
Who knew?
The tactical Toblerone.
Close, but no cheese.
Why do you only? I only see those. There's like the free gifts in like hotel rooms. Those Toblerones.
Where do
They
you
were
go?
pretty
Yeah.
big.
Oh,
at one
I was going to
point.
say, yeah, there's like this like novelty candy store that you can buy like a 10-pound Toblerone. That's
Only he would know that.
Yeah.
I just learned how to pronounce that word now. I never knew how to
Toblerone.
pronounce that.
You
Yeah.
just called it chocolate bar before.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything about it.
Triangle
Okay, I know
chocolate.
what that
He
is.
just ate it,
All right. Well, you didn't quite nail it, but
but it was really close.
yeah. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, he's not a father.
He has a
Doesn't-
father.
Doesn't somebody win something there with that?
No,
Rich.
excellent.
Rich from Chula Vista gets 2 free tickets to Gun Prom. Congratulations, Rich.
And a Toblerone.
All right, good job. You got a blog to promote or an article coming up or anything?
Yeah, I have my next blog post coming up, and now full disclosure, I wasn't listening to the rest of the show tonight, but my blog
Thanks.
post
Thanks,
coming up
Sam.
tomorrow is
Go ahead.
sorry.
Don't worry about
I
it.
am sorry I have failed you yet again.
Oh, jeez.
But my blog post that's coming out tomorrow is a little bit of an analysis of the recent Supreme Court decision in the Cargill case about bump stocks,
Nice.
which I'm sure everyone's been watching and probably celebrating. Everyone's got the popcorn out.
Yeah. You want to touch on it? What are some of your thoughts?
Well, let me ask you first. Did you guys talk about it yet?
We talked about it, but go ahead.
Okay. So the angle a lot of people have taken with this is looking at it and promoting it as, finally, this is an end to ATF being able to abuse administrative power in a way that really isn't what that's designed for. Basically, creating laws kind of through reinterpretation of existing law. But the decision itself doesn't cover that aspect a whole lot. So in my blog post, I go through the decision and I give a little bit of analysis on specific areas of it that I think are interesting. Because a lot of the time when a big court decision comes out like this, people don't really read it, and so they don't. There are a lot of these fine details that they don't really suss out that I think can be lost.
Nice. Did you talk about Sotomayor's description of ARs?
Yeah, a
little bit.
It gets interesting. We've now entered the era of duck legal theory. I don't know how to describe that. Now, I may be totally missing something. I've never been to law school. I am not a lawyer. I am not your lawyer. But some of the reasoning in the dissenting opinion seems a little bit
Dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
That's a
dumb.
good answer.
Sotomayor's writing was dumb. I mean, it was some of the dumbest writing I've ever seen from a Supreme Court justice.
But she is consistent.
I don't know what it's just dumb. I don't know what she's thinking. I don't know if she's trying to be colorful or what her deal is, but it was some of the worst writing I've ever seen. And I've read more Supreme Court decisions than the average bear. And I think her reasoning was silly, and her lack of understanding of the subject was obvious. And there was a lot of reach to make sense, and she didn't quite hit the mark. So
the verbiage I use in my post is, I believe, interesting and creative, but misses the mark, because the reasoning she uses really isn't talking so much about the letter of the law. It's kind of stretching a little bit. I really don't know how to describe it, so I encourage everyone to go actually read the Supreme Court decision. I would recommend you do what I did and read the minority opinion first, and then read the actual opinion.
I agree with that.
Right off the old tree.
It's in the Schwartz DNA.
Heard that before.
All right, my friend. Awesome job. I am very much looking forward to reading your article, and I'm forever thankful that you write them, because you do such a good job. So thank you for all that you do, my friend.
Well, I'm thankful to be on the show. Sorry I wasted your gun prom tickets tonight.
That's all right. And tell your dad I said Happy Father's Day, because he is one heck of a dad. So clearly by what he has produced, it is evidence of what a great
Happy Father's Day to Brendan and everyone else for whom it applies.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Take care.
Good night.
Good night. That's right. It's nighttime back there.
Yeah.
It is.
So there you go. You wrote about the Supreme Court.
Good subject. Good
Good
article.
Acorn doesn't drop too far from the tree.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, good show back.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for
holding down the fort.
For listening and whatever. Oh, you know what we should have done? I really liked. Were you here, Joe, when he was guessing what people carried? What they drew?
No, it was just me.
You weren't there?
No, he wasn't.
Is he still on the line? Darn it! I really liked that.
That was a lot of fun.
He guessed. He tried to guess what people carry by asking them what car they drove.
How'd he do?
He did okay.
He did all right.
Yeah, he did all right.
Yeah.
He had a really great logic and reasoning behind his guesses. It was it was kind of neat to hear the inner workings of his
everything's
mind, of how he
logical when it comes
processes
to
stuff.
I don't know what he would have said about you. What do you drive? An F-150?
He would have said it.
I don't think I know what you
Can we
carry.
get him back on? Come on, Brendan, get him back on.
Yeah.
We only got about 30 seconds. So.
Yeah, we got 30 seconds.
He's quick.
That's too bad. I'd like to hear that.
I don't know what you carry.
Next time I'm here,
Well,
I would think
Yeah.
an F-150 would be like a 1911. Do you carry a 1911?
no.
Well, there you go. So much for
fine.
that.
I'm not good with it.
Hey, folks.
What do you carry? Are you allowed to say?
19.
What?
A Glock 19.
Really? Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.